Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at one of my favourite B450 motherboards, the Asrock B450 Steel Legend. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Asrock B450 Steel Legend. This is the full ATX version. We did actually review the micro ATX version a little while back, which you can check out from the review up here if you wanted to. But today we're going to be taking a look at the full ATX one, which actually gives you a few more features, a little bit more flexibility, and for me, bang for the buck, this pretty much takes the win. So let's start with a brief tour of the packaging, then we'll go through the unboxing process, and then at the end I'll give you my final thoughts. So packaging wise, Asrock have done really well on this. This looks really nice. It's a nice glossy box to it, not the usual kind of cardboardy stuff, although there is a cardboard inner carton, but the actual presentation of this I feel is fantastic. Now, as you can see, it's got the digital camo print on here, which is also reflected on the motherboard itself, but we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Some of the features of the board, so it supports HDMI, as pretty much you'd expect, polychrome sync, so if you're into addressable RGB, this is a definite win. Also, we've got support for most of the AMD Ryzen chips and also some of the other lower end chips that are currently on the market. And this is also one thing which we'll get onto a little bit later, but this board generally does support pretty much every chip that you can possibly buy at the moment for the AM4 platform. So moving around to the back of the box, it goes into a little more detail about what we've got here. So it goes into quite a lot of detail about the polychrome sync and the RGB lighting effects. There are RGB lighting effects actually on the I/O shield and also on the south bridge here. So again, if you're into your RGB, this is definitely a winner. Also goes in to tell you about the full coverage M.2 armor, which is included out of the box. Also says about the Nishikon 12K caps, which are used for the audio solution, which actually make it to be a fantastic audio solution for both inputs and outputs. Also goes on to discuss the premium 60 amp chokes, which are used on the board. This is a 4+2 phase setup for the VRM. So essentially it's a 4-phase, the +2 is, you don't really take that into consideration. So yeah, this is suitable for pretty much every chip out there. But if you're looking at overclocking or doing some kind of dry ice situation, this isn't the board for you. You really do need to look a bit higher up the product stack. But for most people, for overclocking of 6-core CPUs, 4-core CPUs, no problems whatsoever. 8-core CPUs is where it starts to get a little bit iffy with these VRMs. Maybe you want a little bit more extra cooling around that area. But again, if you're just going to be using an out-of-the-box solution and using precision boost overclock, then you should be absolutely fine. It also goes on to discuss the USBs. So we've got some USBs on here. Plenty of USB Gen 3 stuff going on, Type A and Type C. Again, we'll take a look at that in more detail when we take it out of the box, which we're going to do right now. Okay, so inside the box we get another inner box with a carton with all of our motherboard and accessories. So let's go through the accessories and see what we actually get. So there is a memory installation guide to tell you which channels to use if you're using dual channel RAM or quad channel. You get a pair of SATA 3 6 gigabit per second connectors, one straight and one right angled. You get your digital camo print I/O shield. You get an M.2 drive standoff, the other one which is included on the board already, so don't worry about that one too much. You get a Asrock postcard, which if you want to send someone a postcard, then that's pretty handy, I guess. You get the Asrock driver DVD with all the kind of software and all the bits and pieces. Generally, most people won't be using this, so it's there if you need it. You get a rather large quick installation guide in multiple languages. You get a pair of M.2 or NVMe drive retaining screws. There is the B450 Steel Legend setup guide for software. And last but not least, we get the motherboard itself. Okay, so here is the board itself, and in my opinion, this is a really pretty board. It's got a lot going on. Color scheme wise, this is relatively neutral. It should fit in with most build schemes. You've got quite a lot of silver, quite a lot of white and quite a lot of black in there, a bit of grey. So it will fit in with most systems. Even if you're going for a colour build, maybe a red or blue or green or something like that, this is going to tie in quite nicely. And the whites actually will reflect the RGB lighting effects should you be using them. Okay, so let's take a tour around the motherboard and look at the connectivity and our options. So in this top corner, we've got our 8-pin or 4-pin supplementary CPU power connector. Next to this, we've got a rather large heatsink over our second part of the phase for the VRMs. There is actually quite a large heatsink attached to the VRM solution here with our 4-port here and 2-port here. It isn't the best. It does work, it does do the job, but they do get slightly warmer with your 8-core or higher CPU, so obviously do bear that in mind, like I said previously. But otherwise, looks very nice and it is a relatively good solution, especially again, this is a relatively budget B450 board. So moving along slightly more, we've got our connection at the top here for our 12 volt RGB, and also there are 2 fan headers. So if you're using an all-in-one or you've got additional fans in the front of your case, nice and easy way to hook up those extra fans. The fans actually do control things like the PWM or DC monitoring, so you can control them quite easily both in the BIOS and in the Asrock software. Moving down, we've got our 4 RAM slots, which is nice to see. This board will support up to 35-33 MHz in RAM with certain overclocks on certain CPUs. If you want more details on what CPUs and also what RAM are supported for those CPUs, check out the links in the video description. You can see what will work with your particular setup. Moving down, we've got our 24-pin power connector in pretty much the usual space. And down from that, we've got our USB 3.0 front panel header connection. On this section, we've got all of our SATA interfaces. So if you're connecting a SATA drive, then you've got 6 ports to choose from there. Now the SATA and the NVMe or M.2 drives do share certain links, so do bear that in mind. If you're using the secondary NVMe or M.2 drive slot here, you will lose the ability to use SATA ports 3 and 4. Conversely, if you're using the M.2 drive in the top position, you will lose the ability to use the PCI Express 4 port here, which is normally used for crossfire and that kind of thing. So obviously do bear that in mind. So moving down to the very bottom, we've got our I/O panel control area, so nice and easy to get to and in the usual place where you'd expect it to. Next to that, we've got some additional connections for power and also for speaker. So if you're using a BIOS speaker to detect BIOS faults, that kind of thing, then you can plug that in here. Next to that, we've got another pair of fan headers, which again, really nice to see. And next to that, we've got our CMOS reset and our 5 volt addressable RGB header. So if you want to synchronize your 5 volt addressable RGB in your case or with fans, etc., then you can hook it up there and then you can have it synchronized with the onboard goings on as well, which is really nice. Next to that, we've got a couple of USB 2 headers. So if you want to add on a couple of extra USB 2 ports, either for the front or for the rear, 2 options there. And moving along to that, we've got our COM port, which pretty much no one's ever going to use, but it's there should you need it. Next to that, we've got a 12 volt RGB header. So if you're into your 12 volt, you can actually mix and match with this board. So if you've got a 12 volt RGB setup or if you've got a 5 volt addressable RGB setup, you can have a mix and match and control them both in the software and have them so they're relatively well synced. Obviously 12 volt RGB, you won't get things like the chase or the kind of the flow effect, but you can get a very close approximation to that. Next one up is our TPM header or Trusted Platform module. Again, most people probably never going to use that. And next to that, we've got our audio output. So if you're using front panel audio, headset, microphone, that kind of thing, you can plug that into that header there. Next to that, we've got our gold caps, the Nishikon 12Ks, which again, like I said before, uses very, very high quality capacitors to give you really good sound and both for inputs and outputs. The audio is taken care of by the Realtek 892 chipset, which isn't the greatest chipset, but certainly this chipset with these capacitors actually makes for a really effective solution. So moving on to our PCI Express ports, we've got 2 PCI Express x1s, then a x4, which is in the guise of a x16 slot, another couple of PCI Express x1s, and then we've got our main PCI Express x16 version 3.0. So lots of connectivity options there. You've also got another fan header just in this top section here. So if you've got a rear fan mounted, which most of us tend to, then it's a nice easy way of accessing it. So that is pretty much it for the bits on the board. There is actually another header here next to the BIOS chip, which is for programming the BIOS. This isn't a user thing. This is purely for programming at the factory. Another nice feature is this board actually comes with a little sticker on it telling you which BIOS revision is actually installed out of the factory. Now this particular board comes with BIOS version P3.20, so this is one of the latest models, so you should be absolutely fine with sticking pretty much any chip in straight out of the box. So let's take a look at the rear I/O. Now the rear I/O is pretty decent, got quite a lot going on here. So we've got 2 USB 2.0 ports. We've also got a combination mouse stroke keyboard PS2 connector. Next up is our display port, then there's an HDMI. Now the display port and the HDMI are only for use with processors which have an onboard graphics solution such as APUs, so 200GE, 3200G, that sort of thing. These, if you're using a discrete graphics card, will be disabled, so you can count those out of the equation. If you're building the first system and you've got everything connected up and you've tried plugging in your monitors into there and you don't get any display, plug it into your graphics card and you should be absolutely fine. Moving down, we've got our USB 3.0, so these are actually USB 3.1 Gen 1. Next to that, we've got USB 3.1 Gen 2, so that's a Type A and a Type C connector. We've also got our LAN connector. This supports up to gigabit LAN and is using the Realtek 8111H chipset, which is a derivative of the PCI Express one. Next up, we've got our audio jacks. Now these are gold-plated jacks, and also we've got our SpeedIF optical, so you can connect up to a sound processing system like 7.1 surround sound, that kind of thing. But if you want to use a traditional analog 7.1 surround system, you can do that as well. So you've got your earphone, your microphone and your line jacks, and those extra two connectors are for your center and your subwoofer speakers. So pretty much all types of speaker setups are catered for pretty easily straight out of the box. Okay, so there we go. There is a brief tour around the board and the connectivity. Personally, I think this is a great board and it serves as a fantastic option. At the moment in the UK, you can pick these up for somewhere between the £85 and £90 mark, which I feel is actually a fair price for this particular type of board. A lot of flexibility, lots of connectivity, addressable RGB, which I'm a firm favourite of, but it also gives you options for using older RGB technologies, the 12 volt systems, that kind of thing. The only holdback of this particular board that I really am aware of is the VRM solution, which again at this price point is very common across the board. If you're planning to use a Ryzen 9 processor, realistically you should be aiming a little bit higher up the product stack, maybe even heading for an NX570 chipset. But for those of us using 6 cores or 8 cores or even 4 cores, this board is going to be absolutely fantastic and it's going to give you a little bit of room to grow as well. It will support the latest and greatest chips, just don't expect to be overclocking them to astronomical heights. So all in all, I think this is a fantastic board, but please do let me know in the comment section what you think of it. But in the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.